Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the Evil Dungeon Master Universe podcast. I am your host, the Evil DM, Vince. Today, I wanted to say thank you for all the comments on YouTube and the likes that I'm getting for the podcasts that are coming up daily. I think more people are enjoying it on YouTube than they are on Spotify at this point, but I always like doing a podcast because it's just something I've always done and always enjoyed. So I will continue doing Spotify, even though more people seem to enjoy it on YouTube. If you are listening to this on YouTube, thank you very much for listening. Click that like button. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed or subscribe if it's your first time here because it's important to every video gets seen. If you're listening to on Spotify, hopefully you're enjoying it there as well. Go ahead and click follow on Spotify and leave a review on Spotify podcast as well. Uh, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review there as well. Now that's all out of the way. You can contact me with AskTheDM at theevildm.com or head to theevildm.com and you can see my website and everything I'm doing there and click email me there. Now that that's all out of the way, all that boring stuff, let's talk a little bit about Supernatural, the role-playing game. It's a TV show that started on the CW, and it was ripe with actually doing a modern-day horror game because it was started out as monster of the week being hunted by these two brothers, and they were looking for their father originally. And it was an excellent show in season 1, and then season 2 was it followed up a little bit more with Monster of the Week with an overall arching plot started to bleed into it, which was still pretty good. And then we go ahead a few years. It's been on the air for a while. It's pretty popular now that it's on the CW. It has an overall arching story of arcing story of angels and demons and trying to take over the world and the apocalypse, which is fine, but uh, mortals trying to fight against demons and angels kind of makes it a little unbelievable in a sense, but I guess, it's a TV show, and these two are the quote-unquote chosen ones in the battle for humans against the evil. So they do find their various weapons and spells and people who help them along the way to fight against the evil that is coming onto the earth. And in the first couple of seasons, we get demons, and then finally we do get some angels who show up to help. But overall, we find out the angels are just a bunch of dicks anyway. So, and apparently, we find out through the series that God has checked out. He's no longer in heaven. He's no longer around. He's just, well, watch the show. You'll see he's kind of on Earth hiding. But 2008, Margaret Weiss Games, I don't even think they produce anything anymore. Margaret Weiss Productions, sorry, came up with the Cortex system, the Cortex Classic system. Supernatural, Demon Hunters, and then there was a classic Cortex book, Battlestar Galactica, and Firefly were all the same Cortex Classic system, which I think is an excellent system. You want something really quickly to think about, think of it being like a Savage Worlds type system, but light. A little bit easier to play, a little bit faster in play. If that's even possible. But the Supernatural role-playing game came out in 2008, written by Jamie Chambers or Chambers. I'm not sure. I've heard it both ways. Margaret Weiss Productions was doing the whole, I got a license, I'm gonna make a game out of it. So they did produce this book along with two other books, which I don't have in front of me right now at the moment. I don't know what I did with them. One was like a monster adventure book. There was this quick start that came out, The Beast of Bray Road or something like that, which teach you how to play the game. It wasn't that great, but the book itself, when it came out, actually I think won an award for best system. But the book If you don't have it, good luck finding it, because it's really expensive at this point because they only made a limited number of copies. It also fell during that time period when they were making books that were very heavily on trying to theme with the actual licensed product. So reading it, it kind of has that tone that you're like sitting down with maybe one of them or talking to one of them, or when I mean them, one of the Winchesters. It kind of has that tone to it, but it has the whole system in here. It teaches you how to play. It gives you random places around the United States to set your game in, and it tells you the basics of the rules in here and how you can use the dice, going from a D2 all the way up to a D12 plus a D4, depending on um, how experienced your hunter is. I don't know. I played a couple campaigns of this when I was at conventions. I played it a home campaign of this, and my group seemed to like this game. Uh, though not a lot of my players were really into the show. I only had maybe like 2 or 3 of them that were interested in the show. I was a big fan of the show. I watched it till the end, even though the ending was just completely awful. And the show turned really bad towards the end, because I don't think they cared anymore towards the end, and it was just keeping it alive because the actual president of the CW network loved the show and his kids loved the show, so they just watched it together. So he kept renewing the show, and it kept going for 14 or 15 seasons. This book only covers, I think, the first 4 or 5, if that. And there were so many other books planned for this game but they lost the license. Much like all the things that Margaret Weis were doing at the time, they kind of dipped their hands into so many pots and then just kind of lost the license and moved on. Sitting here drinking my morning coffee as I'm talking to y'all right now. I think it's a great system to sit down and play if your group is short on players for a little while and you want to play something. It works best with maybe 3-4 players, the maximum. After that, it just becomes unbearable. There isn't a lot of real monsters in here, for so to speak. It gives you ideas for monsters and descriptions, and tells you how to make things, but it doesn't give you that much stuff in it. You have to kind of make up a lot of stuff yourself, and that's what the other books were for. And the other books came out a little sporadically. There was supposed to be a roadmap book that they were supposed to make that was going to follow the show around and list all the things that happened on the show, what monsters and everything like that, when the boys were traveling around in the Impala. But it never actually came to fruition. It never came out, and it's actually still listed on Amazon if you look it up as I think it says, last I saw was coming soon. No, I don't. They lost the license. I don't know, probably 2012, 13, and they never bothered to continue or try to pick up the license again. And then I think Margaret Weis production, as far as being an RPG company, just kind of died out. They sold the Cortex system to another company, and they started producing. Well, towards the end of the Margaret Weis productions, they started producing a Cortex hack, and then there was Plus, and then there was Prime. And I don't know. I didn't like the way the system was going, and that's when they started doing Smallville, and then they started doing Marvel, and now they have a general system, Prime. It's too narrative for me, to be honest. I like this system because it has a little bit of narrativity and a little bit of actual dice rolling. I don't like things when you have to list it like once per game you can do this ability, and it's just like, pass me the stick. I want to play that type of game. I like this. I have the Cortex Classic book itself, it's like a core book itself, like a generic thing, like a D6 system, and you can make up whatever you want. And it works well with this, along with Demon Hunters. Was it a comedy of horrors, or like a horror of comedy, whatever? It was based off the Demon Hunters web show episodes that you could find on there. Pretty funny. It also works with this too because it has a magic system in it that works a little bit better than this. Supernatural has a magic system, but it's not that great. Overall, it's a very good game. I definitely think you should pick it up if you find it. Good luck. They're going for a lot of money for the book itself. I picked this up at Gen Con back in 2010, and I've had this. There was a couple hardcover copies of this book, but I think the only real one is the picture of the two actors on the front cover saying Supernatural. There was another one with the Impala on there as the front cover with them in the background as well, but I think that was a bootleg copy that someone made up. I've only seen it once in like physical form in my hands, and I didn't have enough money to buy it. I wish I did, but I don't know. I like reading books other than PDFs, and I don't think you can even buy the PDF of this anymore as well. So you'd have to actually, by other means necessary, find it. Not condoning it, but, if you do what you have to do. Again, if you could find it, go for it, enjoy it, and play this game. Cam Banks, that's it, thank you. I was thinking, it just hit me right now. Cam Banks took over the Cortex system and made Cortex Prime, which I guess people like. I'm a Cortex Classic fan. I like the original system. It's perfect for what I want to do. It's easy to play, easy to figure out how to roll dice, attributes plus skill. Done. We hit a target number and you're done. The health track system can be improved a little bit, but I still like health tracks. I like how you can do stuns and wounds. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass. I forgot that thinking about it now. That with the weapon, you have to remember that certain weapons will do stun damage or do wound damage, and sometimes they do both. And other situations, they may not do anything at all. So that was the only thing that was a little bit wonky about it. But once you get it down and you have a cheat sheet next to you, because I used to run it with a cheat sheet about what weapons did what, then it was fine. Pick it up. Tell me what you think. I'm going to head out. Hit a like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to smash that bell so you know when new videos are coming out for YouTube, and click follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And head out. Keep it original, keep it old school. God bless and good night, everybody.